In this video, we're going to be talking about our newest product, markAI. markAI is used based on the same principles as ChatGPT, which has taken the entire marketing industry by storm. It uses the same technology that OpenAI provides for its natural language processing model. And leveraging that technology, we're able to now present to our partners a very useful tool, which quite frequently some of them are using even daily, to be able to help make them more efficient and also help them with certain tasks such as sales, content creation, etc., etc. So markAI was specifically designed by Outreach to be your marketing assistant. You could ask it any type of question that you want related to market research, business development, sales, or even content creation. And today I'm going to show you some use cases of how you can use markAI to be able to get some of the information that you can find very useful for your business as an agency. So let's start off with sales. Let's say, for example, from a sales perspective, you wanted to go off and create a sales script, maybe specifically for a product such as SEO. You can ask Mark to write a sample sales script to sell SEO for local businesses. So let's go ahead and ask Mark. Write me a script to sell SEO services to local businesses. Now you can make it as detailed as you want. You can advise on the specific types of tone that you want to do, maybe specific areas. Be as detailed as you can. For the sake of this demo, I'm keeping it very simple. So let's see what Mark comes back with. So right away, obviously he's got a lot to say. So Mark's come back with a sample script of how to be able to introduce and sell SEO services to your client. Now you could use this over email, you could use this over phone, during your conversations, etc. Now the beauty of Mark is that you can actually continue the conversation. Mark will actually remember your previous messages and continue the thread. So continue sending messages and you can further refine. So let's say, for example, you weren't very happy with this and you wanted to say, please recreate using a more, it's already professional and funny tone. So now it's recreating it using that new type of tone. Now, sometimes obviously it's going to have to think, but it's pretty quick when it comes back to responding. Again, you can continue refining, etc., so forth. You could ask it to do something else, but anytime you want to change the topic, anytime you want to talk about something else, make sure you click on the new topic. Because Mark listens to the conversation you've had before, in order to get the most accurate results and information, make sure that each thread of conversation is relevant to what you're asking for before. Otherwise, make sure you click on the new topic. Another thing you could also do, for example, is you can ask it to do some competitive analysis, things like that. There's a lot of things that you could do from a sales perspective. Other areas that agencies can use this for is content creation. Let's say, for example, you wanted to come up with some topics for your own blog or even to suggest to your client while you're there in a meeting with them. So you can say, let's say, for example, your client is a real estate agent in Houston, Texas. So let's ask Mark to please list 5 blog topics for a real estate agent in Houston, Texas. Again, you can be as detailed as you want. For the sake of the demo, I'm being very, simplifying it. So right away, Mark's come back with 5 blog topics that are relevant for a real estate agent. And let's say, the top 10 neighborhoods to consider when buying a home in Houston. Okay. Let's say, write a 500-word blog post on number 1. And now what Mark will do is it'll remember the number of items that it presented. You said, show it to me for number 1, and there it is. Mark's now creating content based on the neighborhoods in Houston, Texas. Now, one thing to note with AI-based content is that, if you want to use this for any sort of print or social media, that's okay. If you want to copy and paste some of that. But of course, AI content is really not meant to replace content writers. It's really there to give you a base that you could use. Put it into your own words, rewrite it, whatever you have to do. If you're going to be using this content, if you ask Mark to write any sort of content for your website purposes, AI content is considered to be non-genuine content by the search engines. So you don't want to penalize yourself from an SEO perspective. Make sure you go ahead and put it into your own words. It's writing a very, very detailed article for you. It's very easy to fall into the trap of just wanting to copy and paste, but that's not the point of AI-based content writing. You still have to put into your words or something like that. Worst case scenario, you do choose to try to copy some of it, at least put it through another, what's it called, a rephrasing tool like Quillbot or Word AI or something like that to be able to rewrite some of that content for you, so that way you're not getting penalized from an SEO standpoint. But anyways, just as a reminder, AI content is not really meant to be copied and pasted right off the bat. But you have the capabilities of asking it to write whatever content you want. So this is a perfect example of one use. Let's talk about business development. So business development is another area that you could even use Mark to really kind of go off and help you. Is, let's say you have lots of business questions about how to improve certain aspects of your areas. Maybe you have issues that are happening in your business. Maybe you have an employee that constantly keeps coming in late. So let's ask Mark, what's the best way to handle an employee who often keeps coming in late without a good reason? And again, Mark will be able to basically look at its database of information, process what you're requesting, and come back to you with the best answers. Now, again, Mark is not designed to provide you with legal advice. So never take anything that Mark says and use it for legal, accounting purposes. That's what the professionals are for. But here you're able to find a lot of the information that you could then leverage. Now, in this case, we're not saying you have to go to a lawyer or anything like that, unless if you have a legal situation of some sort. But if you're looking for information on improving your thought process in order to, or getting as much information so you can make decisions, this is one of the greatest ways you can use Mark AI to be able to help you with that. Other things that you could also do is, let's say, for example, you run a digital marketing agency in Houston, and you want to find some ways to increase your employee retention at your agency. So let's go ahead and ask Mark. I run a digital marketing agency. Again, as you can see, I'm now writing it as I run a digital marketing agency. You can actually write your questions based on third party, yourself, in different types of format, and Mark's smart enough to be able to understand what it is that you're trying to say. In this case, I'm saying I run a digital marketing agency. In the previous ones, I said, please create blog posts for a real estate agent in Houston, Texas, etc. So Mark is actually quite sophisticated enough to be able to understand the way you're trying to ask it questions. So let's continue with this. I run a digital marketing agency in Houston, Texas. What are some things that I can do to maximize employee retention? Again, Mark's able to come back and recommend some criteria. Again, remember, this is now our AI going in and creating, coming back with recommendations and so forth. But again, this does not replace your professional advice that you'll get from an accountant, an HR specialist, or anything like that. If legalities are involved or anything like that, make sure you talk to a professional. But Mark can definitely help you with a lot of your thoughts and to be able to lead you in the right direction. Market research is one of the biggest values to Mark. oftentimes as an agency, you're going to be put in front of situations where you want more information for your client, for media planning, to better understand their industry. Maybe it's a new customer you're about to propose to, or it's an existing customer you're trying to upsell or build a relationship with. Whatever the case may be, you can ask Mark to help you with that. So let's say, for example, you have a florist in Orlando, Florida, this is the first time you're dealing with a florist, so you're really not too sure. Of course, you can reach out to us for sales support, but if you also want to ask Mark some of the questions, go ahead and ask those. So let's say, what are some ways to generate online sales? Maybe they're an e-commerce business for a florist in Orlando, Florida. Let's go ahead and ask it. So Mark comes back with the questions. So some of the recommendations are: build a user-friendly website, optimize your website for search engines, use social media, offer promotions and discounts, build an email list, partner with local businesses, etc. And let's say I want to ask some refining questions. Let's say, would Google Ads be a good medium to use for this client? Again, Mark's going to remember the previous question. So when you say for this client, he's going to remember that you're talking about a florist in Orlando. And there you go. Google Ads can be an effective medium to generate, I'm just going up. There it is, to generate sales for a florist in Orlando, Florida. Here's some reasons why, etc. Maybe you want to ask another refining question. What is a good starting budget for Google Ads for this client? Let me fix that typo. There you go. This is a question we get asked often: is what are types of budgets that are good to start with, etc. So here it is. Mark's going back, and Mark's coming back and saying that budget really depends on a few factors. Make sure you determine the goals, consider the competition, test and adjust. But a good starting budget for a Google Ads campaign for a florist in Orlando, Florida could be around $500 to $1,000 per month. However, it's important to keep in mind that this is just a general guideline. And again, you guys can always reach out to us, to our sales support team, for further details. We have run quite a number of campaigns for so many different industries all across North America. We have a lot of data. We have specialists on board that can help you further refine if you have any questions like this. But the ability to have an AI market research assistant that can help you basically answer these questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when our support is closed. Let's say you're up at 10 o'clock at night deciding to do some work, to be able to have this tool to help you do market research, to be able to help answer some questions for you anytime that you need it at your fingertips. That's the value that markAI brings to the table. Again, these are just some sample use cases. Feel free to play around with it. Again, always a reminder to make sure you click on the new topic every time you want to change to a new type of question or a new thread of questions that you want to ask Mark. And if you need any assistance or any sort of suggestions, feel free to reach out to our team. We'd be more than happy to help you out. We do have plans of creating some additional templates. So basically, let's say, for example, you want to do a competitive analysis. In the future, we'll have a button where you can actually select competitive analysis. Just fill out a very basic, quick little form with a few questions, and Mark will be able to spit out, in the best format possible, a competitive analysis. And that's just an example. So in the next few months, we're planning to launch that feature out, and we will be continuously increasing our work on Mark to make Mark AI even smarter as we go along, including your own data sets, etc. So this is just the beginning. Again, if you need any sort of assistance, feel free to ask. But in the meantime, play around, ask as many questions as you want, ask it some refining questions. Ask some of your questions in different ways and see how Mark is able to then better provide it. Again, the more details you provide Mark, the better and more accurate information you're going to get back. Thank you for your time.